she was going to die in an accident. Don't forget, of course, that we mustn't forget that she really, really believed that her former lover, Sergeant Barry Manicky, who was her bodyguard at one point,
This chap
was
here, this is Barry Manicky here.
that he was killed in a road he was killed in a road traffic accident. But Diana was convinced that was an MI5 operation that killed him, and she was also always fearful of dying in a similar way, as this note shows. And like you say, it's chillingly prognostic. There are a few things really, but I guess most notably is the fact that this Mercedes was stolen prior to the accident. Now,
do you know how
it was stolen? Yeah, well, it was stolen by an armed gang of three, at gunpoint, which is, perhaps if you're in the trade of buying and selling stolen cars, then a Mercedes S280 is worth stealing. But this car was found a few days later with nothing missing, nothing wrong with it except the little microchip, effectively the car's computer that certainly controls the car's steering and brakes. Now, also on the night of the accident, we're told that, and this is official as well, according to the conclusion of Lord Stephen's Operation Paget report, that this car was the only available car. But we're told it was the only available car. The very car that had been stolen, its EMS, electronic management system chip, taken out, and then the car returned. Who actually repaired that car? Who replaced that chip? We still don't know.
So there is a definite possibility then that this technique that had been developed, some years previously by the SAS might very well be the exact way that this Mercedes was controlled, by taking that chip on this, staged gunpoint raid on the car.
Absolutely,
and taking it away. In that period, we see the chip being replaced, which could be a modified chip according to specifications of the SAS. Or
that's exactly what it would have been. According to, I also personally interviewed a former SAS sergeant called Dave Cornish, and he looked at this, and I put this theory to him, and he said, absolutely, that is exactly how it would have been done. They would have stolen the car, taken one chip out, replaced it with another, no one would have known, and that's exactly how it would have been done, according to Dave Cornish, Sergeant David Cornish.
Now, what happened to the offer from Mercedes-Benz engineers?
Yeah, they were refused permission to go anywhere near the wreck.
Who refused them?
The French authorities. No, they were refused permission. So
because, Mercedes are renowned as one of the world's greatest car manufacturers.
Absolutely.
The car itself is the top of the range S-Class. Like you say, a 500 and a 600 is the top of the S-Class range. This is one of the best cars in the world, built by a professional company that was offering, I presume, for free, the expertise of
its own engineers, and they were refused permission.
Do you think, it's fair to speculate that the reason that Mercedes-Benz have never been allowed access to the crash is because they know that car inside out? Obviously, they are the company that designed it and manufactured it. And that there had been these modifications, and that Mercedes-Benz are deliberately being kept away from it because probably one of their engineers would pick up on something that was not put in that car at the time when it was manufactured in the factory.
Absolutely. And a very similar scenario, according to Sir Ranulph Fiennes again, with Sir Peter Horsley incident. That's exactly what happened in that situation as well. The police were not allowed near that car until, according to Sir Ranulph Fiennes, this is not conspiracy theory, this is Sir Ranulph Fiennes saying this, the team that carried out the assassination made sure that their men got to the car before the police were able to examine it in a very similar way to this. You would expect that Mercedes-Benz engineers would have been allowed to come in and give their opinion on, you know, the condition of the car. But they weren't. They weren't allowed to.
Well, thanks to the subscribers of the Enigma channel, we were able to find and purchase a Mercedes S-Class. It's an S280. It's exactly the same model and exactly the same year of manufacture as the car involved in the crash. The only difference with this car is that the steering wheel is on the opposite side because this is a British version. But apart from that, this is exactly the same vehicle. Now, we've had this car for nearly 2 years. We've been able to do a lot of driving tests. We've gone through the tunnel many times in this car, and it's given me a lot of insights, and I've never seen a documentary where they've gone to the trouble of actually purchasing an S-Class for the research in the actual film. This car cost €100,000 new. That's about £76,000, I think, roughly. It's bought by dictators, VIPs, footballers' wives, prime ministers, anyone who wants a rugged, sturdy vehicle. The build quality is the best that Mercedes have to offer. There is nothing above the S-Class apart from the Maybach, which is a different company which is run by Mercedes altogether. The general build quality of this car exceeds what you would find in a Bentley and also in a Rolls-Royce. The doors have a self-closing mechanism. This really creates a hermetic seal around the door frame, and this adds to the rigidity of the framework of the actual car. And there is an interesting sequence in a film starring George Clooney called The Peacemaker, where they take a Mercedes S-Class, exactly the same car as this, and they punish the car incredibly, and you can see that in the car it stands up to a huge amount of abuse. And the storyline in the plot of the Peacemaker film is that the S-Class is being used by special operatives, by intelligence agents.
Oh shit. Reach into that briefcase, pull out an extra magazine.
Where is it?
In the briefcase, reach it.
God damn it!
Seatbelt.
Well, what I have to say after spending nearly 2 years driving this car is that you do need some experience to handle a car of this size. Many of my friends have taken it for a spin, and they've been absolutely gobsmacked at the huge size of this vehicle. It's difficult to judge gaps, it's difficult to park, it's difficult to get into a garage, and in my investigation I've been unable to ascertain whether Henri Paul had experience of driving the S-Class Mercedes. What I can say is that the car that was in the crash was supplied by an organisation called Étoile Limousines, and Étoile Limousines have had a very close working relationship with the Ritz Hotel. On the night of the crash, apparently, this is according to certain reports which I've read and researched, on the night of the crash, the Mercedes S280 limousine in question was the only car available to ferry Dodi and Diana to Dodi's apartment. And it's interesting because you would imagine that there would be other cars available, but apparently it was this one, this S280, which was the only one which was available. Well, many people have sort of speculated that the Mercedes was tampered with and rigged in some way. And in parts of this film we discuss the so-called Boston brakes method, which was developed by certain people working for the SAS. So, you know, this was another reason why I took the decision to purchase an exact model so that we could do our own tests. And we looked under the hood and we found some interesting things. Now, many of the mechanisms in this car are all controlled electronically by an engine management system and an electronics management system. And I have it on good authority from experienced Mercedes mechanics that you could modify this car, in actual fact you can modify any car, using hydraulically controlled piston rods attached to the steering assembly, and then by the use of remote control technology, which you find on model aeroplanes and model racing cars, you can control the hydraulic piston rods, but they would have to have their own additional power source, or you would have to suck power from the existing battery in the car. Whatever modification you wanted in terms of being able to remotely control the steering and the brakes of a car, you would have to drill into parts of the car and you would have to add extra control rods. As far as I've been told, it's not possible to control the actual existing electronic system remotely without having some kind of physical modification. So when we purchased this car, we did an internal inspection, and immediately what struck us is that the whole engine layout is very, very logical and extremely clear. Here you have your water supply, the battery, the radiator is all in an enclosed enclosure. There's not that many wires dangling around. The hoses are all moulded in